Tom was a boy with adventure in his heart, just 10 years old, his eyes always searching for the next mystery to unravel. He was the kind of child who saw magic in the ordinary, who believed every day held the promise of something new. He lived with his family in a small, sunlit cottage perched right at the edge of a vast, mysterious forest, a place where the wild seemed to begin just beyond the garden gate. The whispering woods always called to him, their leaves rustling with secrets, their shadows dancing with stories for anyone brave enough to listen. To Tom, the forest was alive, its voice soft but persistent, inviting him closer with every breeze. While he helped his father with chores or sat reading by the fire, Tom's mind would drift. He imagined what lay beyond the familiar paths, picturing hidden glades and ancient trees, his thoughts always wandering to the wild unknown just outside his window. His mother often warned him, her voice gentle but firm. "Don't you go wandering in there, Tom. It's easy to get lost, and the woods are full of things you might not understand." But the pull of the woods was irresistible, a melody only he could hear, a song that seemed to play just for him whenever he stood at the edge, sunlight dappling the ground and a gentle breeze carrying the scent of pine and earth. Tom saw the forest not as danger, but as a world of wonder, full of hidden streams, secret animals, and mysteries waiting to be discovered. He imagined foxes darting through the undergrowth and deer pausing to watch him from the shadows. He felt a connection to the woods, as if they were a living, breathing friend, one that whispered encouragement and promised adventure to those who dared to listen. On this golden morning, as the sun rose over the countryside and painted the world in warm light, Tom made a quiet promise to himself. He would no longer just dream about the forest. He would finally explore it. Today would be the day he answered the call, the day he stepped beyond the safety of his home and into the unknown, determined to discover what secrets the woods held. He would step inside, becoming the explorer he always dreamed of being, his heart pounding with anticipation as he took his first steps beneath the ancient trees. His heart beat with excitement and a touch of fear, the perfect start to a grand adventure, as the whispering woods welcomed him into their embrace. After finishing his morning chores, Tom slipped quietly out the door, an apple tucked safely in his pocket and a spark of courage glowing in his heart, mingled with excitement and a hint of nervousness. He crossed the familiar garden, stepping over tangled roots and wildflowers, and entered the forest, where the air was cool, fresh, and alive with the scent of pine needles and damp earth. For a moment, he paused at the edge, his mother's gentle warning echoing in his mind. "Don't go too far, Tom." But curiosity tugged him forward, stronger than his fear. Sunlight filtered through the high canopy, painting the ground in shifting, golden patterns that danced with every breeze. Each step took him further from the safety of home and deeper into a world ruled by ancient, quiet laws, where every sound and shadow felt mysterious and new. Tom felt small beneath the towering trees, but also part of something immense and wonderful, as if the forest itself was welcoming him. He reached out and touched the rough bark of an old oak, feeling the grooves and ridges, imagining the stories it could tell from centuries past. No longer just Tom from the cottage, he stood a little taller, feeling like Tom the explorer, ready for whatever adventure lay ahead. The silence around him was alive. A gentle hum of insects, the distant calls of birds, and the soft rustle of leaves overhead, all blending into a symphony of nature. He felt a thrill of independence, as if he were the captain of his own journey, charting a course through the unknown. The forest seemed to guide him, its winding paths inviting him deeper, each turn promising new discoveries and secret wonders. Tom was alone, but not lonely. Surrounded by the gentle presence of the woods, he felt a quiet joy, as if he had found a friend in the heart of the green unknown. Deeper in, Tom noticed the forest's music, a woodpecker's beat, the whisper of leaves, the distant caw of a crow. He paused, closed his eyes, and listened to the symphony around him. Squirrels chased each other up a pine, pausing to eye him as he crunched his apple. A blue jay flashed by, a red toadstool glowed on the forest floor, and a spider's web sparkled with dew. Tom knelt to touch cool moss, every detail a new discovery. He felt a deep sense of belonging, a respectful visitor in this ancient kingdom. The fear he'd felt was gone, replaced by wonder. Tom knew he would cherish this memory forever. Suddenly, a new sound, a low rumble, drew Tom forward to a wide, fast river. The water churned, swollen from rain, a powerful barrier with no bridge in sight. For a moment, Tom considered turning back, but his spirit of adventure was stronger. He searched the bank, thinking like the heroes in his books. Downstream, he spotted a fallen tree spanning the river, a natural bridge, mossy but sturdy. Heart pounding, Tom climbed onto the trunk, arms outstretched for balance. The river roared beneath him, but he focused on each careful step. It was scary, but exhilarating. Each step a victory over fear. The forest seemed to encourage him, offering this challenge and the means to overcome it. With determination, Tom crossed the river, feeling braver than ever. On the other side, the woods felt wilder, the adventure deeper. He pressed on, ready for whatever came next. Tom was no longer just exploring, he was conquering. After crossing the river, Tom wandered deeper, marveling at the ancient trees. Absorbed in discovery, he didn't notice the sky darkening or the wind rising. Suddenly, he realized he was lost. Every direction looked the same. The deer trail vanished. Fear crept in, his mother's warning echoing louder than ever. Panic threatened, but Tom remembered his father's advice. Stop, breathe, think. He closed his eyes, recalling the river as his landmark. If he could find the sound of rushing water, he could find his way back. Hope flickered. He wasn't helpless, just challenged. He listened intently, straining for the river's roar over the wind. The forest felt vast and confusing, but Tom steadied himself. He was still an explorer, and explorers find their way. With courage renewed, he set out to retrace his steps. The journey home had begun. Tom moved slowly, pausing often to listen for the river. The forest was darker now, every sound sharper, but he pressed on. At last, a faint murmur grew into the unmistakable rush of water. Relief flooded him. He'd been walking in the right direction. He pushed through the undergrowth, spotting the familiar fallen log. The bridge that once seemed daunting now felt like a welcome path home. Tom crossed quickly, his fear replaced by confidence. On the familiar side, the woods felt friendlier. He recognized landmarks, the birch tree, the mossy rocks. The sun was setting. He hurried, following the light toward home. The worst was behind him, but the adventure wasn't over yet. Tom pressed on, eager for the sight of his cottage. The edge of the woods appeared, fields opening up before Tom like a welcome he'd never noticed before. The golden light of dusk painted everything in gentle hues, and the world felt both familiar and new. In the distance, smoke curled from his cottage chimney, a sign that warmth and comfort waited for him at home. Tom ran, bursting into the evening light, heart pounding with pride and relief. Each step brought him closer to the life he'd missed, but also to the person he was becoming. He had faced the unknown, been lost in the shadows of the woods, and found his way back alone. He felt changed, older, wiser, braver. The fear he once felt had been replaced by a quiet confidence. The forest was no longer just a mystery. It was a place of secrets and lessons, a world he'd learned to understand. It was a friend he'd come to know, a companion in his journey, and he felt grateful for its challenges. At the red door, he paused, letting the moment linger, feeling the weight of his adventure settle into memory. He savored the smell of home, the scent of wood smoke, fresh grass, and something sweet baking inside. And then, the sound of his mother's voice, gentle and worried, calling him in from the dusk. She greeted him with relief and worry, arms wrapping him in a hug that said more than words ever could. But Tom simply smiled, his heart full. "Just exploring, Mum," he said, voice light, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. He kept his adventure to himself, a secret treasure he'd carry always. That night, in his warm bed, The world outside felt safe and small, and his own heart felt vast. Pride glowed quietly inside him, a gentle warmth that would never fade. He was no longer just a boy who dreamed of adventure. He was a boy who had lived one, who had faced fear and found courage. The whispering woods had tested him, shown him wonders and dangers alike, and he had returned an explorer, forever changed by what he'd seen and felt. As he drifted to sleep, the echoes of the forest whispered in his dreams, and he dreamed of new adventures, of paths yet to be discovered and mysteries yet to unfold. With the sunrise, he would be ready for whatever wonders awaited, his spirit eager and unafraid. Tom's journey had only just begun, and the world was wide with promise.